As a team that is working on civic engagement and civic education, we became aware of a discrepancy when it comes to voter preferences in Europe a couple of years ago. Specifically, I'm talking about how voters behave in peripheral areas compared to those in bigger urban centers or in the capitals. It seems that voters in peripheral areas are more prone to vote for anti-democratic, illiberal leaders. So we wanted to understand what the reasons might be. This is how we stumbled upon a notion that is calling peripheral areas civic deserts. Now, civic deserts are grappling with three sets of challenges. The one set of challenges are political, the other set of challenges are structural, and the third set of challenges are civic challenges. Now, the political challenges are what we call dysfunctional democracy. There is high levels of corruption, there are dysfunctional institutions, there is low media freedom, etc., etc. The structural challenges are related to lack of economic opportunities, unemployment, bad physical infrastructure, or aging population, etc., etc. Now, if civil society can do very little about the political and the structural challenges, the third set of challenges, the civic challenges in civic deserts, is something that civil society, but also media, philanthropies, and the citizens themselves can do something about. So we wanted to understand a little bit better what are these civic challenges in civic deserts and what can be done about them. And so the two baskets of challenges can be described as low civic infrastructure and low civic literacy. I know, a lot of civics in here and also a lot of new terminology, but let me try to explain better. Lack of civic infrastructure means that on the one hand, the sheer spaces where people, citizens, the community would come together are not there, or if there are spaces, citizens do not perceive them as their spaces. At the same time, local civil society organizations are either missing, or if they're there, they're very understaffed, underfunded, they lack capacities, they do not develop. This is the civic infrastructure type of challenges in a civic desert. Civic literacy relates to the fact that citizens in these areas do not perceive themselves as such. They do not have the capacity and the competencies to participate, but also do not think that it's up to them to do anything. So they feel as if they're exogenous to the state and to their community. So it's someone else's job to come and take care of them and of their problems. And in order to understand even better and dig further down into what is the reality in civic deserts, we designed a mapping program with which we looked into the realities of 4 such regions in Europe. One was in Bulgaria, one in Hungary, one in Poland, and one in Romania. Now, the findings from the mapping are available on our website called mappingcivicdeserts.com. You can read about the methodology, the process, and all the detailed information that we were able to collect based on more than 180 online surveys that we conducted among different representatives of local civic life in these 4 distinct regions in 4 different countries in Europe. A couple of examples from the mapping just to give you a sense of what we found out. One interesting finding was that, for example, institutions on the local level perceive civic challenges differently compared to civil society. Civil society seems to be more critical of civic life or of the state of civic life on the local level. We had a whole section of questions devoted to the capacities of civic actors. And what we found out is that 37% of them operate on a budget that is less than 5,000 euros per year. Almost 70% operate on a budget that is less than 50,000 euros. And so it doesn't come as a surprise that financial sustainability and sustainability in general is a big problem for civic actors. But they have also other problems. They would love to learn more about how to do advocacy work, to communicate better. They struggle with project management, organizational capacities. They struggle with evaluation, impact, evaluative learning, etc., etc. As I mentioned, more detail can be found on the website of the mapping project. Now, civic deserts are on the one end of an extreme of a spectrum. On the other end is what we call a place with a very high level of civic cohesion. Now, a civically cohesive space is defined by the opportunities to be an active part of civic life in a democratic community. And just like a civic desert is defined by low civic infrastructure and low civic competences, a place with a high civic cohesion is defined by high civic infrastructure and high civic competences of the local community. And so the concepts civic cohesion and civic desert are not very popular. And by choosing these terms, we wanted to offer an analytical model, a way to understand better the realities on the ground in such peripheral areas, in areas where the structural and the political set of challenges that I talked about in the beginning point to potentially also civic challenges that can be tackled by means of different civic engagement initiatives. So apart from the analytical bit of the mapping project we did, there is also a whole section of recommendations. And we as a team believe that if these recommendations are adopted in such areas, some of the civic challenges can be lifted. So we start moving from a civic desert state of a place over to a civic cohesion. One of the recommendations of our research is, for example, to integrate the notion of civic cohesion into the European Union cohesion policy, so that when we think of lifting the disparities in the European Union, we also consider their civic aspect and not only the economic ones. And if you want to share your thoughts, your feedback, please feel free to visit our website, mappingcivicdeserts.com.